Hello again, it's me, Chastity White Rose, the vegan virgin. And it's been a really long time since I've recorded one of these videos from my phone on my walks to work. And you can't really see much because it's dark. I'm always walking in the dark because I work overnights at Walmart. And yet there's something I want to talk about tonight that's actually very interesting. Because you know how it is when you work at Walmart all night long and you're sweeping and mopping and using the scrubbing machine, and then you think of things. And when I get to thinking of things, it's dangerous. So I was thinking how I lived the life of a vampire, basically, working overnight. Because I never see the light of day, except for a brief moment when I'm going home. And I'm up all night. And here's the thing about it. I have said for years that I'm a vegan vampire because I drink ketchup instead of blood. But just recently I decided to look up on Google, can vampires be vegan? And I found some very interesting examples. I'm not going to recite them because I don't remember them all, but yeah, there were some very interesting things, Now, here's the thing you have to understand is vampires, to my understanding, are something that it is in movies, cartoons, video games, especially the Castlevania series, which is actually pretty cool. But here's the thing. I can explain veganism by using vampires as an example. Okay, so, vampires supposedly drink human blood, but they've also been known to drink animal blood instead. And like in the Twilight series, those vampires refer to themselves as vegetarians who ate animal blood instead of human blood, which is not vegetarian, mind you, if you're killing animals to drink their blood. But that was a joke they were making in the series, which is not funny, by the way. But here's the thing. Basically, vampires don't need blood. They need the things that are in the blood. What the salt, the sugar, the vitamins. There's nothing that's going to be in the blood that wasn't already in what the humans or those animals ate. So really what they're doing is they're doing unnecessary steps. So just like what is in human blood comes from the food the humans eat, the same is true with veganism. Vegans don't have to eat meat, dairy, eggs, or honey because all of those things came from nature and have passed through the body of an animal. There's nothing that's going to be on a cow's body when you eat beef or drink its dairy that's not really in the grass those cows have been eating or whatever else they've been feeding them that they should not be feeding. Trust me, you don't want to know about the hormones and the antibiotics and all kinds of weird stuff they do with these cows in the industry. And so, basically, veganism, in its purest sense, the way I define it, the way I live my life, it's a boycott of the animal agriculture industry. Now, people have misunderstood veganism. People have misunderstood veganism as being a diet about health. Like, oh, you eat healthy, so that's why you eat only plants. But that's not what's going on here. Maybe for some people that's what they've heard and it's just a trend. But veganism includes avoiding, animal products like, leather, for example, or cosmetics tested on animals or having animal ingredients. It's not just about food, and people think it's about food. And here's the thing is, basically, veganism is just a boycott where you're choosing not to pay for the harm of animals. You know what I'm saying? And of course, that also probably is going to mean you're not going to be killing the animals yourself, because the whole point of veganism is to not kill animals. Now, let's compare this to being a vegan vampire. Now, a vampire normally drinks human blood, and that's how they live. But since the only things in the human blood is going to be what those humans ate. Technically, vampires can use a blood substitute. You see where I'm going with this? And of course, I would recommend, ketchup and tomato juice, or just some regular vegetable juice that has multiple vegetables but still looks like blood. There's plenty of blood substitutes that vampires can use without having to kill the other humans or the other animals for their blood. Okay, but there's one more thing that doesn't make any sense when it comes to vampires. Why is it that they kill their victims and drink all their blood instead of keeping them alive so they can drink their blood later? You know what I'm saying? Because then if you kill the humans, there is, then that you can't have the blood anymore. So that was really dumb. But let's just say vampires are stupid, just like most humans are stupid. But anyway, that aside, if you think about it, vampires still have a choice to use substitutes and to get the original nutrients in a different form rather than drinking blood. Just as humans have a choice to eat the plants that the animals are eating instead of eating the meat or the dairy, the eggs, or the honey that those animals produce. Keep in mind that honey is just flower nectar that's already been in the stomach of a bee, which is really kind of gross, actually. It's basically bee vomit, because those people, those bees, they don't have buckets to put the nectar in the sort of the hive. They put it inside their bodies and then regurgitate it out into their hive and store it as food for later. So honey is bee vomit, as many vegans have explained. And I can't tell you how many times people have questioned me on my vegan diet just at Walmart and previous jobs too, like Hy-Vee, and even Brilliant. It's like, why do people care so much? And I specifically remember this guy who used to work. He was a Muslim, and he used to work at Walmart. And so he didn't eat pig. He didn't eat pork, bacon, or whatever. And so there were these guys trying to get him to eat pizza with bacon or whatever, and he didn't want to. And finally, one of the team leads said, "Stop! It's a religious thing. He doesn't believe in eating pig." And Jews and Muslims generally don't eat pig because it's forbidden in their scriptures. So, but see, vegans are just like extra Jewish and extra Muslim, because we go a step further. Rather than going through a list of what animals we're allowed to eat or not, we just don't eat any of them. So we're like extra Jewish and extra Muslim, basically. If you want to think about that, at least in the dietary terms. But like I said, veganism is not just about diet, it's about not killing in general. And it's just a weird thing, because when thinking about vampires, realizing that they also have the choice, not only in choosing to get their nourishment in a different way. They don't have to drink blood. And even if they do choose to drink blood, there's no reason there's a difference between consuming animal blood and human blood, because humans are just one of the animals anyway. So the idea that they even make that distinction in some of these things is a little bit weird. Never made any sense to me. But anyway, that's my speech about veganism and vampirism. I guess you could. I don't even know if vampirism is a word. Being a vampire is what happens when another vampire bites you and doesn't kill you, then you turn into a vampire for whatever reason. I never understood that either. But that's what I've got to say for that. So I don't know, any of you other vegans out there, maybe you can use vampires as a means of explaining why people can also be vegan, even if they are a vampire, and then extend that to realize, wait, everybody can be vegan. That's my speech. That's all I have to say. Thank you for listening.